Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky. Good morning. I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
I've been scuba walking.
What?
We were brought to this place. We were led to this place by the universe. It's called Scuba Gym, and Dave is the man that runs it.
Scuba Dave!
He has a fascinating story, by the way. I feel like we need to preface this whole podcast with his story.
Yeah, I loved his story because his son was playing football and they went in for a routine doctor's visit, and they found a tumor on his spinal column at the base of his neck.
Yes, and he was paralyzed.
Yeah, when they operated on
down.
He ended up being paralyzed from the neck down. And his dad said, Dave said, I don't want to accept this. There's got to be another way. And so he just started exploring. He started experimenting and saying, not experimenting on his son, but just saying, I want to look for possibilities.
Asking better questions.
Yes, I got goosebumps.
And he was a scuba diver himself. So he said, I'm going to start taking my son underwater and we're going to start really exploring his body. Dave is also a computer programmer by trade.
Yes.
Which is just enough to make him think a little differently. He thinks very logically in some ways.
Yeah, it makes me think of Joe Dispenza when he says firing together and wiring together.
Yes, and so he takes his son underwater and he starts poking and prodding at his legs and his body, and he finds out, okay, where am I getting reactions and where are the nerves not reacting?
And his son's like, Dad, you're getting on my last nerve.
And then together with his son, they rewired his brain, and now his son is walking, barely has a limp. Like if you didn't know his whole story, you would just think, oh, maybe he hurt his ankle or something.
Yeah, and what's fascinating with this is we got led to this by just the universe.
The universe led us
and
there.
Talking to the right people.
We often say the right people at the right time at the right place. It's all about trusting and believing.
Yeah,
and
you'll hear this theme over and over and over again because we lean into it and we believe it.
Yes.
And when you accept it and just allow for it, wonderful, magical things happen, but you have to get through the fear and get through the doubt.
You have to get out of your own way.
And when you step into different rooms, you get different conversations, which lead to new possibilities.
We don't know what we don't know.
Oh.
And until you go into those new rooms with new people who are living at a different level, then you start to be aware of what's possible.
Yeah, because what you don't know, when you said, we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
And what we don't know keeps us the same or keeps us broke,
keeps us stuck,
fat, keeps us stuck, keeps us
fat,
keeps us all the things that we don't want.
Okay, so back to the story. We go to visit the scuba gym, and I start seeing people who are healing their bodies. They are healing their bodies by walking underwater where there's no gravity, and they are healing their bodies by the way they think and raising their vibration to become the new person that they want to be. And they're doing all of this underwater because underwater you block out all of the noise of life. And also there's no gravity. There's no gravity when you're scuba diving, or you know what I'm saying?
Right. And every small move turns into a much larger move.
And once your brain starts seeing results, you start believing even more. And what you believe is your reality. And that's exactly what is happening to me right now. We visited this place. I went because I didn't want to be seen in a bathing suit on camera. So I'm like, I just went in my regular clothes and I'm like, I just want to, see what's going on and talk to you maybe a little bit, talk to some people that are here. And once I started talking to people, I forgot about the camera. So we don't have much footage.
Yeah. Let me take my clothes off right now.
I'm like, I'm going to go home and get my bathing suit. I want to get underwater. I want to start doing this.
Dong, da, dong, dong, dong.
All of a sudden, I started imagining possibilities that I didn't even know could happen. Now, We've done this for 4 times now. Already, the results that I have seen are miraculous. And before we go any further, I want to do my best to document everything that is happening because I believe God is working a miracle in my life right now. And I want everybody to see it and everybody to witness it.
I concur.
Now, before we go any further, I want to get Jason's perspective on everything that he witnessed because I sometimes have a radio imagination. I can go off on stories and sometimes I add details because that's how my memory wants to remember them. So I'm going to get Jason's perspective on what did you see underwater? I went underwater for the first time, and what did you
The
witness?
biggest thing for me is we've been together for 20 years.
Yes.
And we've been married for 18 years.
We've had sex. I mean, you know my body.
We've
done maybe even better than I know my own body.
Yes. And I've learned so much about paraplegia, like just the way your body moves. And I've had this thought in my mind about what it can and can't do.
Yes. And also, I want to just preface this whole thing by saying, you know, whenever we hit an obstacle, whether we're on vacation, climbing a mountain, going skydiving, going whatever we're doing, Jason has been my legs for me. So he knows exactly where my boundaries are. And you also know, like you said, what I can and haven't been able to do.
So I would just rephrase that because I know that you can do things. What's the faster way? A lot of times it's I can pick you up and we can go places.
Yes.
Because I've seen you also climb the Acropolis by yourself. And that was an awkward moment for me because people are going, why isn't that jerk helping his wife?
And I was like, I want to do this alone.
Right. You're like, I want the exercise. I want to see if I can do this. And so but when we go through obstacles, we can get there. We can do anything because there's always a way.
So what you're really saying, and I don't mean to stop what you're saying, there has been a little bit of learned helplessness on my part.
And however, I never imagined what I saw when you got underwater and started doing this therapy. Because the first time I saw your legs kick out in a walking motion and then pull back, just literally like walking. And
it brings tears to my eyes.
And then I started bawling like a child, like a child that had its toy taken away, but it was a joyful, like an awe, a wonderment. It was crazy. It was witnessing a miracle. And then at the end of the lesson, I was bawling again, or lesson therapy, whatever you want to call it, because it was a learning. It was your body learning and me learning. I had set the boundaries of my imagination at a certain point, and I wasn't allowing it to go further.
Can I just add a little tidbit here? Jason had a GoPro that's been in the closet for years. And so we got it out. It's not the clearest video, but he was underwater taking a little bit of video here and there. When we got home, I didn't want to watch the video. And here's why. Because I was underwater and I thought that I was seeing my legs move. I thought that I was feeling my legs move. I thought that I was simulating the walking motion. However, I didn't want to be proven wrong. I didn't want to see that video because I didn't want to be disappointed, which has been my vice. I just had a bubble in my throat. If you follow Jason and I, you know that my biggest vice in my whole journey has been doubt and disappointment.
Well, and you've had 34 years of wanting to walk or trying to walk and not going into that different room, not having the person that says, hey, there may be a way. It's always been someone saying.
I started believing because I wasn't seeing results in my legs. I started believing, okay, this is my
This is my reality. Yes. But when we started this Living Lucky journey and believing that we are co-creating our reality together with the universe, with each other, with the people around us, with God, yes. Then it allowed space for us to get into different rooms, get into a new conversation, get into a greater way of thinking, and realizing that when we don't know what we don't know, we are being limited. So
we're limiting ourselves.
Open ourselves up for that new experience, open ourselves up for that new conversation, and it changes things. Because when we get into a bigger room, if we're the smartest person in the room, we're in the wrong room, right?
Okay, so let's just go back because I want this documented. What did you see?
I saw your legs kicking out like a spider monkey. Like it was kicking out and pulling back. It was the walking motion. And then I saw once the learning of the motion finished.
Yeah.
Then when they stood you up and then like had you in a standing position and then your legs started firing and walking, I was like, what am I even seeing here? And then at the very
and before you go any further, I have laid in bed for 34 years. Every night I go to bed. Every morning I go to bed. Can I move something today? Can I feel something today? What is, like, I do this all the time, and it's just become like a way of being. And I'm just like, I'm crying again because it's so frustrating to try to move and try to feel, and you don't, it's just not working. It's just not working, and you don't see anything. And then you're reminded of it every single day because
when you have to transfer.
Everything I do, every time I try to go to the bathroom or transfer out of bed or move, it's
go get some water. Get in and out of the car.
And so getting out of...
Go answer the phone.
So becoming, Joe Dispenza talks about becoming your new self. It's hard to step into your new reality when you are constantly being reminded of your old.
Of who you've already become.
I have become programmed.
Of what you might be stuck with.
Yes.
If it feels unchangeable.
Yes, and when that happens over and over and over, it becomes permanent, pervasive, and personal. Those three things. It becomes permanent, pervasive, and personal.
Yeah.
Pa.
The triple P.
Yes. So, and that can lead to the lower vibrations. Well, that can lead to depression.
It takes away hope.
Yes.
It crushes belief.
Yes.
Or it creates belief in hopelessness is what it does.
And so this whole journey, I mean, if you think of where we've been and now where we are going, that in itself is a miracle. And so therefore, I can let go of any expectations because I'm already so grateful for how far we've come.
Well, immediately.
That is living lucky.
Immediately. So I also had fear set in.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting the mics, but I had fear set in because I know that we're doing so much.
Uh-huh.
And immediately from my mind, all these can'ts, like C-A-N-T, C-A-N apostrophe T.
Yes.
Erased from my mind. And all these new cans popped in.
So what you're telling me, what I am hearing you say is that it transferred to other areas of our life.
Oh, so many. Because there's all these things, like everything that we think about, I think we always imagine, okay, what are the logistics of it? How are we going to do this? But I'm already visualizing and imagining the end process of walking and doing and just this whole new us and this whole journey that we're on. But I know now everything in the world is possible. I thought so before,
what you're
but I've just
witnessing
expanded even further.
Is Jason has been the rock in our relationship when it comes to faith and believing and perseverance, keeping going. Like he's really the workhorse. I call him the workhorse.
The bulldozer.
Because I oftentimes am quick to say, this isn't working. We need to pivot. We need to pivot. And Jason's like, no, let's stick with the plan. And I'm like, it's been 5 years. We haven't seen any progress. Our business, we're still making $0.
It's working. It's working.
And Jason's like, have faith. Keep going.
We're making money. We're not profitable. We're not making the money we want.
So what I'm hearing you say right now in this moment is that your faith is growing.
Every day. Every minute.
I think we should end there. That's just beautiful.
I just feel like I'm living lucky. And I feel literally every moment that I'm living luckier and luckier. And thank you, audience. Thank you for joining us every day.
Thank you, Dave at Scuba Gym. Thank you for all the people that go there, all the volunteers. They are changing lives, and sometimes they don't even realize it.
Thank you, everyone out there listening right now, because you're changing a life right now. How are you changing?
Keep living lucky. Bye-bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.